History has some insane conquerors, guys who built huge empires with swords and fire. But there's one guy who takes it to a whole new level, a man so cruel he literally made buildings out of terror. He didn't just beat his enemies, he built monuments out of their actual bones. He didn't just send a message, he built it out of dead people. We've seen a lot of tyrants, but only one turned terror into actual art. This is the story of Timur, the guy who made mountains of skulls. Back in the 1300s, the world was a total mess. Genghis Khan's old empire was broken, and everyone was fighting everyone. And in the middle of all this chaos, a kid named Timur was born. His name literally means iron. This guy wasn't a prince or anything. He was just the son of a small-time chief. Think of it like this. He started with nothing. The world Timur grew up in was crazy violent. Warlords were everywhere, fighting for power. To survive, you had to be two things, smart and ruthless, and Timur was both. His early life was basically a survival challenge. He wasn't born a conqueror. He started as a literal bandit and a soldier for hire. It was during these early years that he got the name that would send shivers across continents. One story says he got shot with arrows trying to steal sheep, but more likely he got injured in a battle. Either way, 2 arrows messed up his right leg and his right hand for life. For most people, that's game over. But for Timur, it became his brand. His enemies called him Tamerlane, or Timur the Lame. And in the West, that got twisted into the name we know today, Tamerlane. But this lame warlord had an insane will to win and was a genius at strategy. He treated politics like a crazy game of chess. He'd make alliances and break them instantly if it helped him. He even teamed up with his own brother-in-law for years and then had him killed just to seize power. By 1370, Timur was the boss. He took over the city of Samarkand and decided to turn it into the capital of a terrifying new empire. Timur knew that having power wasn't enough. You needed an image. He couldn't call himself Khan because he wasn't related to Genghis Khan. So he called himself Emir, or Prince, and just had a puppet Khan he could control. To look legit, he married a princess with Genghis Khan's bloodline. He was basically selling himself as the guy bringing back the Mongol Empire. But Timur's plan was something brand new. It was a mix of Mongol tradition, his religion, and a level of brutality the world had literally never seen. From his new capital, this lame conqueror looked at the broken world and saw a massive opportunity. What followed was 35 years of non-stop conquest that stretched from India to the Mediterranean. Once he controlled his home turf, Timur unleashed his armies on the entire world. For the next 35 years, his life was just one insane war after another. His ambition was limitless. He looked at Persia, a land with ancient cities and incredible wealth, and just took it. City after city fell to his super-efficient army. He ripped through Persia and Mesopotamia, and his empire grew at an unbelievable speed. His army was just like him, a crazy mix of fast-moving Mongol cavalry and Persian siege weapons. He would fake a retreat, tricking his enemies into the perfect trap. His archers on horseback would swarm an army, and then his heavy cavalry would come in and completely crush them. He understood psychology, he understood planning, and he knew how to turn your biggest strength into your biggest weakness. This guy wasn't just a brute, he was one of the greatest military commanders ever. But here's the crazy part, his genius was matched by his cruelty. For Timur, terror wasn't just something that happened in war, it was the main weapon. It was literally his government's policy, designed to make his enemies give up before he even showed up. He took the Mongol idea of extreme violence and made it into a system. This became his signature move, and every city he approached knew it. And his signature was literally buildings made of terror. These pyramids of skulls weren't because he was angry. They were a calculated strategy, a part of his war machine. The message was super simple. Surrender, and I'll let you live and pay taxes. But if you resist, I will not just kill you, I will erase you. Your city will be destroyed, and I will use your bones to build a monument to show everyone how dumb you were. And I'm not talking about messy piles of heads. These were carefully built towers, sometimes called minarets, made from thousands of severed heads. They were designed to be seen from miles away, a permanent warning. He turned the entire landscape into a monument of fear. The practice started early. After taking one city, his own son reportedly built towers out of human flesh and clay. In another place, they said 2,000 prisoners were cemented alive into a wall. A living, screaming monument. But he perfected this horrifying art in the biggest cities. The city of Isfahan is one of the craziest examples. In 1387, Timur took the city peacefully. But then the people fought back, killing his tax collectors and 3,000 of his soldiers. His reaction was insane and total. He ordered a massacre. His soldiers were given quotas for how many heads they had to bring back. One historian who was there counted 28 towers, each built from about 1,500 heads. That's over 40,000 people from one city turned into a forest of skull towers. And he did this again and again. After taking Baghdad in 1401, his soldiers built 120 towers from the skulls of 90,000 people. In Aleppo, Damascus, and Tikrit, similar monuments of death were erected. When one city surrendered because he promised not to spill any blood, he kept his word in the most twisted way possible. He had 3,000 soldiers buried alive. Technically, no blood was spilled. This was next-level psychological warfare. The stories of the skull pyramids traveled way faster than his army. Just hearing that Timur was coming could make a city surrender instantly. As messed up as it was, the strategy worked. It saved him time, money, and his own soldiers' lives. He wasn't just conquering land, he was conquering people's minds, building an empire held together by pure fear. Calling Timur just a butcher is missing the entire point. His cruelty, no matter how insane, always had a purpose. He was a super smart commander who mixed terror tactics with incredible military skill. This guy loved studying history. He would have people read him history books all the time, and he learned from the best, especially his hero, Genghis Khan. But he added his own insane twist. With Genghis Khan, the choice was simple: give up or die. With Timur, it was different. Give up and join me, or I will literally wipe you off the map. His wars against his biggest rivals show what a genius he was. He had a huge war with Toktamish, the Khan of the Golden Horde. This guy used to work for Timur, but then betrayed him and invaded his land. Huge mistake. Timur chased him deep into Russia through insane winters, pushing his army to the absolute limit. In 1391, at the Battle of the Kondurcha River, Timur's bigger, more organized army completely destroyed the Golden Horde. But his most legendary battle was against the Ottoman Empire and their Sultan, Bayezid, the Thunderbolt. By 1400, Timur and Bayezid were the two most powerful dudes in the Muslim world, and you just knew they were going to fight. In the summer of 1402, their massive armies finally met, and what Timur did next was a 1,000 IQ move. As Bayezid's army marched to meet him, Timur did a massive flank and got behind the Ottoman army. He cut off their supplies and started attacking the city of Ankara. Bayezid's army, with 85,000 exhausted and thirsty soldiers, had to turn around and fight on ground that Timur had chosen. Timur had a bigger army, maybe 140,000 men, and they were totally fresh. And to make it even worse, Timur's engineers had rerouted a river, so the Ottoman army had no water in the blazing hot sun. The Battle of Ankara was a complete disaster for the Ottomans. Soldiers on Bayezid's side saw the flags of their old leaders fighting for Timur and just switched teams mid-battle. In the end, Bayezid was surrounded and captured, the only Ottoman sultan ever taken prisoner in battle. The story goes that Timur kept him in a golden cage and used him as a footstool. It's probably not true, but it shows you how completely he was humiliated. This battle broke the Ottoman Empire for 10 years. Timur was now the undisputed champion of the Muslim world. At the peak of his power, Timur looked at India. In 1398, he invaded, saying the rulers of Delhi were too nice to their Hindu subjects. This war had a level of destruction that was shocking, even for Timur. Before the final battle for Delhi, Timour got worried about the prisoners his army had taken. Fearing they might rebel during the fight, he gave an insane order: execute all of them, with some putting the number as high as 100,000. 100,000 people. The battle for Delhi itself was wild. The enemy army had armored war elephants, which Timour's army had never seen before. So Timour came up with a crazy plan. He loaded his camels with dry hay, set it on fire, and sent the flaming, panicking camels running straight at the elephants. The elephants freaked out and stampeded back through their own army, causing total chaos. Timour's army then charged in and cleaned up what was left. The sack of Delhi that came next was apocalyptic. For weeks, the city was looted until there was nothing left. One writer said that for 2 months, the city was so empty that not a bird moved a wing. It took Delhi over 100 years to recover. But this is the craziest thing about Timour. The same guy who did all this was also one of the biggest supporters of art in history. While he was burning cities to the ground, he was turning his capital, Samarkand, into a paradise. From every single place he conquered, he kidnapped the best artists, architects, and smartest people and forced them to come to Samarkand. He built incredible mosques, huge schools, and amazing gardens, all paid for with the treasure he stole from everyone else. The beauty of his capital was literally built on the suffering of millions. In the winter of 1404, Timour, now almost 70 years old, launched his biggest challenge yet: conquering China. He got a massive army together and marched east. But there's one enemy you can't beat: old age. While camping out, Timour got sick, and in February 1405 he died. The scourge of God was gone. The China invasion was canceled, and his giant empire, which was only held together by his personal power and the fear he created, immediately started to fall apart. Timour's body was taken back to his amazing capital and buried in this incredible tomb. There's a legend that his tomb has a warning carved on it that says, "When I rise from the dead, the world shall tremble." So let's hope that doesn't happen. His legacy is just impossible to understand. He was a brutal warlord, and some estimates say he was responsible for the deaths of 17 million people. That might have been 5% of the entire world's population. His name basically means cruel. His skull pyramids are one of the most terrifying things in all of history. But at the same time, in his home country of Uzbekistan today, he is a national hero. The founder of a great empire who paid for amazing art and culture. He was a world destroyer and a beauty creator. A guy who built a shining city on a foundation of bones. The terror he used wasn't random. It was a smart, calculated, and terrifyingly effective strategy. His life makes you ask a crazy question. Was Timour a monster, or was he just the ultimate player of the insane world he was born into? If you think this dive into one of history's craziest figures was insane, smash that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next video. We have way more stories about the most extreme people in history coming your way. Let us know in the comments, who is another historical figure with a legacy this complicated? Thanks for watching.